two simple circles. One circle, 1. Two circles, 2, gives us this. Right, let's try this. Hello. I've been studying geometry for 30 years. Nearly. 25. And I'm continuously amazed by geometry. But I continuously also am frustrated with trying to explain the most simplest of concepts. We all got taught this when we were kids at school. But I'm just here to remind you, right? You know, you got some of the basics at play school, and you know, you'd have done more at it in primary school. Then again, you know, you would have done the subject in secondary education, secondary school. So I've got a cheap technology, a cheap app to make videos with, but I'm able to give you demonstrations, which I've never really done on my channel. All I have done for 9 years is talk about the geometry. And without visuals, it's a difficult conversation, even with visuals. Some people are so illiterate of the subject, and combined with that, when you're trying to explain basic principles to do with the basics of geometry, people can't help themselves race ahead in their mind. In a way, you know, the thing is, you're looking at a we're dealing with what really is a fractal. You must know the term of a fractal. You know, and you can see the wonder of these natural geometric shapes, right? Under certain conditions, if you know what I mean. But you don't need that chemical to allow you to see all that. When you are able to change your perception and your focus and bring your focus of vision in and out, right, with geometry, you're able to gain the perspective of it, you know. And this is the thing, we're dealing with the geometry that involves the fundamental principles to do with optics and sound waves, right? Now, I've already gone from basic concepts of geometry into quite a complex thing to consider. If you're unaware of geometry and you're completely blind of geometry, and this is the problem with a lot of the basics. So look, this now, if I strip that away, that is the vesica piscis, right? But it's got a hexagon in the middle, right? So if you're new to the subject of geometry, contained within the lens leaf shape made by two circles. These two circles constructed and centered on each other's center point create this leaf shape, a lens shape, an eye shape. It's a symmetrical shape made by two circles, but it is a lens. It's a mathematical lens. And it is the beginning of a geometrical construction which, continued in its progression, will lead you in to three-dimensional Euclidean geometry. That's where it leads to. And you're sort of perceiving that now. What you can perceive as a cube is in fact a hexagon. But you perceive it as being a cube, but it is not. In fact, it is an illusion. You're only able to perceive it being a cube, but in fact, it's just a diagram of a hexagon, a six-sided polygon, the hexagon. We're talking about six-segamal geometry, hexagonal geometry. And the fundamental principle of that is the square root 3 ratio proportion. The width of the fish lens leaf-like shape, the width of it in relationship to its longer length is expressed the square root 3 ratio. And you can go inside to infinity, right? Or you can progress it and unfold this basic construct into what is commonly known as a flower of life. It is the geometry of the tree of life from mystical kabbalah Jewish traditions. In fact, it is the template of the Jewish Star of David. A simple progression of this geometry contains the triangular based geometry that forms the Star of David. In fact, the Star of David is contained within the vesica Pisces, but also it can be developed from an extension of the vesica Pisces. The vesica Pisces is a doorway into the third dimension, and a tetrahedral is a four-sided equilateral triangle. I don't think I'm going to show you that for now, because I don't want to go too far ahead of the class. I'm teaching you the basics, but the internet is flooded with people that are just talking a story about the geometry, right? You need to go back to the basics, and one day hopefully you won't need to come to my channel, because I have a feeling I'm going to be here forever talking to the uneducated people in YouTube land about triangles. So look, the hexagon's made out of 6 triangles. That doesn't quite fit, right? But you get the gist. So that triangle proportion is also created within the vesica Pisces. In fact, there are 2. Within the fish lens type shape of the vesica Pisces, you can get 2 equilateral triangles. One here, there, you get the gist. And then if you was to flip this around, and if you had two equilateral triangles make a rhombus, right? There's 2 equilateral triangles in the fish-like shape. So, and the square root 3 ratio is also expressed in the triangle. The square root ratio, if you take half of the width of one side of the triangle, and then having technical difficulties. That's the joy of being a video creator. So the square root 3 ratio is expressed in half of the length of a side of a triangle in relationship to the line, the line that cuts the triangle in half, that goes to the point of the triangle. That length compared to half the length of the side of the triangle is the square root 3 triangle, right? So the square root 3 ratio is expressed in many ways in vesica Pisces. The square root 3 ratio creates, of that lens type shape, the leaf type shape was known in antiquity, right? And it's the basic construct of the triangular geometry, if you like, of the square root 3 proportion. And you can go in infinity, and then you can, or you can develop it into something like, the flower of life. So the Star of David is contained naturally in this geometry. The Jews knew about this geometry. In fact, this is where the Star of David comes from. The Jews had knowledge of this, called it the Tree of Life. It's encoded in the Jewish mystic Tree of Life. The Greeks, though, it's encoded in the tetractys of the Greeks, the triangular form with 10 dots that forms an equilateral triangle. So that's the Greek equivalent of the same geometrical code, if you like, because it is a mathematical code. So the lens-like tape, this shape ties into optics and sound waves, right? And this is like the science of cutting diamonds is specific to the hexagonal crystalline structure of diamonds, as shown in the diagram. So look, guys, tomorrow we might go through the square window, but I'm working on a video. It's taken a lot of work. It's to do with exposing alt media and now Trump's government, and we need to look into people like Peter Thiel, the people behind the ideology. So look, that's a different subject. That's politics. Take care of yourselves out there, right? I mean that. And be good to yourselves and each other. Speak to you soon.
Welcome to Fire in the Minds.